Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the MuseCast. This is episode 60, and we are following up our last episode with another special guest. This time we got Josh Ivestor from Tragic,
Woohoo!
and
What
he's
up,
about
Josh?
to perform his new album for you a cappella. And go.
I didn't warm up. You didn't tell me that.
Well, I want to see how good you are.
Oh,
I want to see if you're on the ready at all times.
I got auto tune on here somewhere.
No, but hey, seriously though, you do have new music. You've got a new music video that just came out. What, 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, Dead Weight,
Yeah,
which is
man.
the title track for our EP that I'm hoping to have it done and out by March, but we'll see. It's been
That's interesting. Are you recording it yourselves? Or are you going somewhere? What's your plan
no.
there? What
So
are
the
you guys
first
doing?
EP I recorded it all myself. The Ready for War EP. I find myself hardly ever listening to that anymore because
Oh yeah.
I'm not professional at this shit by any means,
Yeah.
but I guess it's kind of cool that I took a stab at it and we did it all in house. And it was kind of one of those things where it's like, fuck it. I think some members in the band kind of rushed that out. I really wasn't prepared or ready for it to go out. So it's kind of pushed it out there. But I mean, I could have sat there and mixed and did whatever right thing for fucking years before I ever thought it was good. You know what I'm saying? It's just one of those things where
Absolutely.
You're
at
your
some
own.
point you got to put
You're
it
your
out.
own biggest critic. You're your
Yeah.
own biggest critic when it comes to it.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah.
So this one we ended up we did a show at Club LA a couple of years ago, and it was we opened for Nonpoint, there's Blacktop Mojo, and a band called Saul at Club LA, and we ended up playing that show. And it's kind of cool because like they had everybody was backline, so Nonpoint had this huge backline, gigantic banner. The Blacktop Mojo had a gigantic banner, huge backline. Saul had like a pretty cool backline. They had like these big, huge, like steel welded, like crazy looking things where they stuff lights in and put it on the stage. It was really cool.
Yeah. That's awesome.
When we got there, it's like the drummer Miles had he just finished setting his kit up. They mic'd it up, all that stuff, and the guys at Club LA are like, yeah, y'all just gonna have to like find a way to get up there on stage. Like there's really no room. Like his drums was in the middle of the stage, and we had the stage to the sides of his drums.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is gonna suck, guys. And I guess Miles, the drummer, ended up hearing that. He's like, no, dude. He's like, I'll just take my shit down. I can always, I'm pretty quick at this. I'll take my drum set off. That way I'll have at least the full stage. And I think, there wasn't a lot of room, but so that's when we met Miles. That's who actually started producing our stuff. We met him that night and had conversations with him, and didn't really talk to him much till like 4 or 5 months later. I'm like, well, I'm gonna hit him up on Instagram because I didn't know he produced at all. Then we kind of connected on Instagram, Facebook, and I seen he was like producing things. I'm like, okay, well, let me message him and see like what the rates are, all this stuff, and literally this whole EP, I think we did 6 songs, and they were all produced by Miles. So it's gonna be really killer, man, and it's cool because like it took a lot of weight off of me.
Sure.
Like the first EP
so different.
Like,
so different. Yeah.
Because I wrote all the music for the first EP. I recorded it and mixed it, then had to worry about vocals, and it was like a lot, man. It almost took the fun out of being in a band anymore,
Dude.
So like, this was perfect scenario because all I do is I record the song dry in my studio, stems basically, and I just send it to him, man, and he kind of just produces the song. It just makes it so much freaking better, and sends it back to me for approval. So it's been a blessing, honestly, because it's like I can write the song, but I don't want to mix and do all the crazy shit. So I record the dry guitars, bass, we mock drums, send it off to him. He sends it back, man. It sounds fucking awesome. Yeah.
Wow. That's
killer,
really
yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
And so you just said you do dry guitars. So are you recording just straight in and then he's putting amp modeling on it after the fact, or are you doing just
Yeah.
straight distortion?
Yeah, it's been a good experience because it's kind of like, it's almost like standard now, you know, like even when I was working with Clint and stuff, it's like that's all these, even these bigger musicians, they're all doing that. Like they send it from their studio off. But
Clint from
you know,
Sevendust, right?
yeah. I got an opportunity to work with him a little bit.
Awesome.
But that's kind of how they do it. So they want everything dry, you know, they don't want any effects on it. They just want to do their own thing with it, you know?
Yeah, whether it's like reamping the guitars or running it through modelers or anything like that. It's so much easier to augment it. And that's why nowadays, like they do both, right? Like you'll record your own distorted track and then run a secondary track in as a dry track just for the stem. And then you can do whatever you need to as long as you got that raw stem.
Oh yeah. So it's been pretty cool. And like I've learned how to send this stuff correctly, you know, like there's a standard to how you do it and how they want it done. And, you know, so like I dabbled a little bit with Clint Lowry. And then when I got with Miles, and it like really like, because I sent him stuff, he's like, no, you got to do this, you get to do that. Everything's got to be straight up, mono. Like it was just a whole ordeal of trying to figure out how to send things correctly, you know?
Yeah.
So when you were working with Clint, you did the same process where you sent him stuff, and if that's right, then what was the difference between the two? Miles was just more in depth or more engaged with you to request more.
Yeah.
More
so
steps
the Clint thing was weird because he had a Patreon.
Okay.
And he was doing these things where like
it was like a session based thing, right?
Like
I remember seeing him advertise it. It was like you pay his Patreon and he works with you like an hourly rate almost, wasn't it?
Right. Yeah. And that's what we did for Deadweight. We were kind of done with Remember. We had him help us out a little bit on some of the structure on that song, but Deadweight was like the one, man, he really turned that song around because when I sent it to him, it was like a whole different song, dude. Like,
wow.
And that's when like my mind opened up. It's like he was doing shit I never thought of ever doing, you know, like, so it's like, I think we did like 3 or 4 sessions, but it's like $120 for like 2 hours or some shit like that. And basically we kind of did this thing, you know, I kind of sent him the music and then we kind of sat down via Zoom. And, you know, I was at my studio, he was at his, and we just kind of sat down and just kind of listened to the song. And I kind of, at a certain point, I was like, well, I'm just going to let him do his thing. Like, I feel like I'm in the way at this point. Like, his mind's just going 100 miles an hour, you know?
Yeah.
But Deadweight had an opening riff. And that was the first thing he said. He's like, we're getting rid of that riff. He's like, when you start this song, it needs to be just a riff that really catches somebody. And he's like, that's really how all your songs need to start off, with that opening riff where it's just, you got to catch people's attention in the first 10, 15 seconds or you're just screwed, you know? So it's just a lot of stuff like that, you know, just learning from that type of stuff that really helped, you know, send me off. Okay, well, I kind of know what I need to do now. But that was just a whole mind-blowing experience because I've always been a huge fan of Sevendust and especially Clint,
me too, man.
Guitar playing, you know, and
to
have that opportunity, I was like fangirl for a little bit, but then he was like, snap out of this shit, we got work to do. And I'm like, all right, let's go. And we still have a relationship. I still talk to him, and you know, I try not to push that too far, you know, because I know I'm just a guy in Tallahassee, Florida, you know, so it's like, but I text him every now and then just see how he's doing to make sure he's all right. And I mean, it's kind of cool, you know, build a relationship. And same thing with Miles. It's, you know, we talk every now and then, and it's pretty cool to find relationships like that you never would ever thought would happen.
A whole different world of producing and musical collaborations. The technology and what it's given us access to is pretty wild. I mean, and open that door to have a direct communication with, people that are, we've had periods of idolizing. I mean,
Right.
Sevendust and Nonpoint, you mentioned Nonpoint earlier. I mean, those were two of the not regulars at Floyd's, but every year for a while
Oh
there,
yeah,
they would come and play,
they
and
were
we would just went to like every one of those,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
they were absolutely regulars. I've seen Nonpoint more than any other band ever still.
Oh yeah.
Because
Oh,
of
wow,
how
yeah.
because of how frequently they would be in Tallahassee. They was
I've
like
seen them at least 4 times, maybe 5.
Right. I think about the same. I played with them twice. I played with them when we had a version of Falling at Will. I think it was at
Oh.
that was at the Coliseum.
yeah.
Oh,
was-
wow. Yeah.
I was
yeah.
at that
was a
show.
while,
I wasn't. We were in Following at Will at different times, but
Yeah.
I was at that show. That was a good show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I played that show with them. Then we played at Club LA. So I played with them twice, but I've seen them probably 4 or 5 times. Sevendust, I think I counted 10 times. I've seen them.
Wow.
If I can see them anytime, I'm going. Like I'm going to see them.
Yeah.
I've only
I
seen
wish-
him. I've only seen him twice.
Right.
And I've,
Oh,
only,
wow.
and I've only
Okay.
seen him once with Clint Lowry, because the first time I saw Sevendust, they had Sonny Mayo
That
from
was at the
Snot.
Moon. That was at the
Did
Moon.
you-
wasn't it?
Yeah, it was at the Moon. And I had no idea then when I was watching him, I had no idea that Sonny Mayo was the guitarist from Snot.
Yeah.
I learned that just recently because Snot's back together, doing a reunion with
yeah.
some new vocalist. Do you know who Snot is, Ash?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't listen to them regularly. I had the album though around the whole cluster of friends, and we would listen to it on certain nights and everything.
Yeah, man. They're just like, it's so good, so good. And that's where the Angel Sun song came from. Sevendust song
Right.
Angel Sun was about
Right.
was for Lynn.
Yeah, that album where it had different singers on every song, right?
And that album, I revisited that album recently, and it's so good. Even like one of the
I gotta
standout
revisit
tracks, one of the standout tracks I really like is the one with the guy from Sugar Ray singing
Right.
on it.
Oh yeah.
Like
yeah.
the whole album is so good.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, I should have made a
Nice.
much bigger deal about this when I was younger. But I really it was Angel Sun that I latched onto.
I remember
and then-
thinking it was so cool that there were all the different, because I recognized like every singer that they had.
yeah,
across that album.
Chino's on one.
Yeah,
The Sugar Ray, Brandon from Incubus is on one.
Yeah.
Really good album. Super
I got to
First
say before
Taken. Go ahead.
before we leave it, I got to do one more Sevendust story because to me it's vital. This is how big of a deal Sevendust is to me, and I didn't know how to play a guitar, right? And when I was 16, I went to see Metallica play, and in St. Petersburg, changed my life. Came back, learned how to play guitar. Spent the next 12 years of my life trying to become a rock star.
Oh, yeah.
But the opening, there were 2 things that were notable. One was there was Creed was the band that played right before Metallica played, and I was like, "Holy shit,
Oh shit!
this
wow.
works! Like you could actually do this!" Like because I had
Right.
seen Creed play tons of times at Floyd's in Tallahassee, even though I didn't play music. I went in middle school. I was going to see them play,
Oh yeah.
and I was like, "Wow, you can really like do this even out of Tallahassee." And then the second thing was there was this opening band I had never heard of, and I was like, "Who is this?" And it was Sevendust. I had never heard them. They were the opener before Creed and then Metallica, and I was like, "Who are these guys?" This is like it was one of the most amazing nights of my life, and I literally changed my whole life. I mean, I came back and then became a musician. That show was that impactful. So Sevendust has always got a special place in my heart.
You came home on a mission. You were like,
I did, dude.
doing this thing.
I bought an
funny,
acoustic
man.
guitar.
Like my first introduction to rock music was Metallica. Because I was like from age like 9 to 12 or 13, I was living in bumfuck Egypt in Georgia on a farm. And you
Okay.
didn't listen to rock music up there, dude. It was like straight country. Like,
Okay.
you're not listening to rock shit. It's fucking Satan music. So when I moved back down to Tallahassee, my buddy showed me Metallica, and I've never heard of Metallica, and my mind was blown. I'm like, holy
Dude,
shit.
they blew me away too. That's the band that got me into heavy rock music.
yeah.
Like I kind of liked rock, but it was all like grunge stuff. And for me, the song that got me into was Unforgiven. Like that was just the first Metallica song that I heard, and it was so impactful that I was like, that was when I wanted to learn how to play guitar. That's when an instrument stood out to me as being like, if I'm going to do music, like that's what I want to do. And I did go on around that time and got a guitar and tried to learn how to play it like 3 different times. But we're talking about, dude, I didn't start learning how to play. You know, I mean, I tried to start playing
Right.
and I gave it up. It was way too hard. I gave it up every time in a month. You know, I was like,
Your
screw
first
this.
stab was trying to learn Unforgiven before, like,
Yeah.
before
Unforgiven and then
come
one.
as you are from Nirvana, or one of the really simple, easy gateway ones. You started with
that would have been
hard stuff.
This is way too hard.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you set yourself up for failure.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Good
That's
memories though. Yeah, good
Yeah.
stuff. Well,
So-
that's super cool that you got music coming out. Go ahead, Dick. I'm sorry.
Well, no, I was gonna say, Josh, you guys got a show coming up in Jacksonville, right? In a month or so. Is that your next show?
Yeah, Jackrabbits.
Jackrabbits, March
Yeah.
1st with who I know Defy the Tyrant's on the bill. Who else is on the bill?
Divided Truth, and a band we haven't played with before, Burn the Silence, but I've seen them playing a lot in Jacksonville, but we haven't played with them yet, but they're really cool guys. So that's going to be a pretty badass lineup, man. Like,
Yeah, that's
anytime
awesome.
we play with Defy the Tyrant, it's always great.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Jackrabbits is a great venue. It's fun.
Oh yeah, it's iconic venue for sure. Like,
Yeah.
it's no glitz, no glamour, man. You go in there and you're fucking rocking out, dude. Like,
Yeah.
it's a
Those
good
are-
venue.
Those are my favorite kind of shows, to be honest. We were kind of talking online, like on a Facebook post today, about that. There's these big festivals come through, which are great in their own way, right? You got your big incarnations and you're welcome to Rockvilles, and they have a bazillion bands and they're like 4 and 5 days long. But I know from experience on being on the bill on one of those festivals that you have to sign this paperwork that says you do not play within, couple hundred miles any direction for X months before and X
Whoa,
months after.
Months?
Yeah.
Yeah, usually
Yeah.
90 days.
Yeah, like a month and a
90
half,
That's-
3 months.
That's 3 months. Yeah.
And so that just means all those bands, like, there's this dead zone where there's no shows anywhere around there.
That's
And
crazy.
it just, I think it kind of makes it tough. It really does make it tough to see bands at smaller venues, because a lot of those bands on Welcome to Rockville, they're not all like doing big arena tours. Like, a lot of them are bands that'll play these smaller. When I say smaller, I mean like 500 or 600 head venues, which is still a pretty big show in a smaller setting, but it's still small enough that you can go to the merch table after the show and meet the band and buy the t-shirt from the band, and have that kind of personal interaction with them.
Yeah, that's what I like, man. Like, I don't know, but yeah, like, we played Welcome to Rockville, and like, we had a slew of, they sent all these documents. It was so overwhelming, and a lot of it didn't pertain to us because we really weren't, like, we're nobody, but it was kind of cool to see what all these bands go through and what they have to deal with through that process. But one of those were, like Dick said, like, 90-day, you're not playing around here for a certain hundreds of miles from around this area.
Yeah.
This got brought up today because Earth Day Birthday got canceled this year, and I think everybody kind of knew why, because you had Welcome to Rockville, and now Earth Day Birthday is like right there around the same time, I think, right?
Yeah, they were saying it was in the spring too, which I feel like if Earth Day Birthday changed it to the fall or something, because I think Earth Day is like a 1 or 2 day most festival, right? I've only been to one, and it was, hell, I was with Dane Walker and Miami Beach, and it was like 9 Inch Nails and Rob Zombie were like the 2 main headliners. Just a 1 day thing, though. Just a 1 all day festival.
Yeah. Yeah. So that kind of stuff puts a hurt on stuff like that, and like Bert said, like, man, dude, I don't get kicks out of going to that stuff, dude. It's like way too many bands, way too many people, so much money. Like, it's just, I'm never going to watch all these bands, like, I could see going there for like a day for the bands you want to see, but it's like, I like the intimate shows, man. Like I like, like old Floyd days, man, when you go see these bands and they're hanging out back and you get to,
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I want to do, man. Like I want to talk with the guys and like,
Yeah.
ask questions and shit and all that type of good stuff. So,
I also think one of the issues I have, so when I did Rockville, it was a couple years ago now, and Tool, I went on just one day, and it was the day that Tool was playing, my favorite band,
right.
and it was a crazy awesome lineup. It also had Mars Volta, which is one of my favorite bands too.
Nice.
It's like I'm sold right there.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, the sound quality, me and Dick were talking about this a couple episodes ago. The sound quality difference that happens in these outdoor live event spaces versus an indoor place that's like even up to a couple thousand people,
Yeah.
there's still a difference of the way it contains the bass there's just a drop off that happens when it's outdoors and especially if you're put super distant. Dick was bringing up even like how the wind affects it and heat affects it, and it's it gets warbly, the sound quality, and it's thin, and it's like, it's neat, but you can't catch everything. Everyone has, in general, shorter sets. You're missing somebody that you want to see the whole time. It's neat. It's very cool. I would totally want to play on it if I had the opportunity, But at the same token, I would sell that. I would way rather play a show with a middle, popularity band in a smaller venue than be a part of 50 or 60 bands over 3 days, and everyone's ears are blown after the first couple hours too. I mean, you can't. It's just such a. It becomes. It's still very cool, but it's not the pristine quality. Your ear can only handle so much for so many hours.
For sure.
Oh yeah. This year is the first year ever that I got tickets to the whole thing. So
yeah, you're in for it.
This year, because there's some like really this year, Welcome to Rockville is doing like a lot of reunion shows, like special performance reunion shows, particularly Snot and Acid Bath are the two big ones for me, because the Acid Bath that we talked about this on the last one, I never thought that would be a thing in my lifetime because they were done.
We've talked about this in the last 5 episodes.
Yeah. So,
ever since they announced it, Dick's brought it up in every
it's not too.
I love Acid Bath too. They're great. They're so good.
But
huge.
For so another band that's playing that's super important for Amber, for my girlfriend, is Lit. The band Lit.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Like, and that makes her so bubbly and happy. It's I had to get the tickets for that. But I tell you what, I've got some special earplugs that I'm gonna wear every day, like the good kind where you can still kind of hear and have conversations, but when it gets too loud, it starts dampening. They're like gun range earplugs, I think is what they really are. They like have a little piece that goes in them, but I'm wearing that. I'm wearing comfortable shoes, and I'm bringing like a makeshift thing that I can set up and like lay down and nap if I have to.
It's
like,
so hot, dude. Around that time, it's brutal.
Yeah. And my son actually had to go to the damn emergency room when we were there the other year. I don't know if I ever told you, Josh, but like Kyron was pumped to get to see Primus. Primus was getting ready to play. Yeah. They started playing the first song. They started playing Too Many Puppies. And Kyron had a reaction with sunscreen in his eyes.
Oh no.
And had to have staff of the event rush him to the hospital to get and I was separated from him at the time. Like because I was like, I went to go get some sunglasses for him because he had said his eyes were starting to bother him, and I went to go get some glasses. I went and bought some of the fuck cancer guys had like $2 sunglasses.
Right.
And I got some of those, and when I came back, he was gone, and him and Amber were gone. I was like, where'd they go? Primus is playing. And then I had to leave the event, walk outside the festival grounds where I get service, and they're at the hospital. And he only missed Primus. They treated him, put some stuff in his eyes, came back, and he just missed Primus.
Oh wow. Man.
So upset. He was like totally bummed. But I mean, we saw some other really killer bands, but to miss Primus was like a kick in the gut, man.
Yeah. All about the bass.
Yeah. But I got him tickets to Primus's show with Pussifer this year. That's like,
that's gonna be awesome.
I forget when that is. They're doing that Santa thing again.
Yeah, that's cool, man.
Yeah.
Those are all unique things that you're going to see this year that you've got tickets for. I mean, I get weird mashups or reunions, and so I get the draw to go ahead and get out there and catch it.
Oh yeah.
And mostly for him because he's only this age once. I mean, he's 15. He's
Dude.
15 and he's into music. So like,
Yeah.
what did I need when I was 15? I needed a dad that was cool with spending a little bit of money to let me go and experience those things.
Get it while you can, man. Tristan, my son is, he's 18 now. He finally, well, I have to say finally, he got a job. He's working over at Hungry Howie's right now.
Nice.
No way.
So he's been gone all last week. Like he's doing training and like he's driving my van. We've got a vehicle happening for him next month, but I've been vehicleless. He's been taking my van. He's not home. He's doing pizzas till late at night and then coming home and crashing, getting up for school. So I'm not seeing him at all. And I'm telling you, man, it's a little depressing. You know, I mean, yeah, man, my son's like he's leaving the nest gradually here. It's all happening. It really happens. It kind of it's beautiful, but it sucks at the same time.
Yeah, I feel that. I got one that's 18 and one that's 13. So
Okay, yeah.
They're all I feel that for sure. Like,
yeah, man.
We started kind of sad when they go like, what are we gonna do?
It is. Dude, we started feeling it about me and my wife Amy. We started feeling about 2.5 years ago. 3 years ago, and we decided to have another. So I have a 2.5-year-old also. So we're keeping it fresh in the house in that regard. But
I couldn't
dynamic.
Kudos, I couldn't start over again. Like I'm at the end of it. Like I did my part. I did my job.
I get it, dude.
Good. Like
I get it. I totally get it. I just had a moment. My wife sees the moment of my weakness. But I don't regret it. I mean, like, dude, honestly, he's the coolest thing of my day almost every day. I like seeing Tristan when I can, but Felix is there every day. And, like, he just, like, man, I don't know. Everything else is kind of peanuts compared to that. Your kid,
Keep you grounded,
Yeah.
Yeah.
He always reminds you effortlessly reminds you, like, what's really important.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
What the real deal is. Like I talked about this with somebody at work today. We toil with our jobs, regardless, whatever that may be. And we put this hat on, we get up, get dressed, suit up, go do the thing, but when you come home, you're dad, you're back, and that's the real job. Like everything else is just trivial. Like everything goes away, shuts off, and then like, okay. And that being able to shut that off is harder for some people than others. You get your workaholics, you get, people who don't really have a hobby. And I feel the three of us are all musicians. So we all have a very passionate, artistic spark, right? And not everybody has that, but those types of people, those artistic, passionate people, they really need that third space, because it's almost a curse, right? Because if you're not fulfilling that, then there's all sorts of bad things can happen to go sideways.
Oh yeah.
You're right there.
Finding that balance between the work, the dad, and the art,
Well, and the balance is never sustained. That is not possible. I have acknowledged this. You can touch it. You can get to that point occasionally, but it will shift, because if you stay there long enough, all that's going to happen is you'll start doing you won't be progressing in any of them fully. So you start delving into one of them a little bit more, and then you see that progress happen again, rather than just, because it's just the human desire to want to grow or achieve more or climb a higher mountain. And if you can't find that, I think that's where depression really happens in particular. You have to know that you're kind of growing towards something. That being said, it is a paradox, because in the chase, I'm in one of those modes right now where I've been way overworked for 3 months now, and I've still got one more month to go.
Right.
until I can settle back into some balance again. It's just been way too much work. And I feel it, man. It's hard, and I'm yearning to get back to feeling balance again for a little bit, but it will only be momentary, man. It's only
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
be a
Yeah.
month maybe, and then I'll start doing way too much guitar or way too much, family and getting behind on everything else. But that's the ride. You got to try it. The art is learning how to like the goal is to try and be as present in each of those shifts as possible and enjoy the indulgence as you
Oh, yeah.
overcompensate in each sector and not try to not get stressed out. Just acknowledge that balance is always going to be like this. You
Mhm.
can't keep it here. It's an illusion to like just keep it steady all the time.
Oh yeah, it's always a struggle, especially the older you get. Like I just turned 39, and like it's like it's harder to balance everything. But
That's right,
just I
old
think it's
man.
hard to stay present. Like I think that's a big thing, staying present in each
Yeah.
one of those you're in, because you're always like surrounded by people. Like got the family, you want to be present for them. Got the band, want to be present for them.
Mm-hmm.
And then I own my own business, so that's even more taxing because I got to be present
Yeah.
for all these customers, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. So there's a lot of stress involved in that, and learning how not to bring that home is a good thing too.
Yeah.
Keeping
Yeah.
that stuff at bay, but it's
Yeah.
kind of hard when you're getting phone calls, texts, emails. Like at some point, it's like, okay, I'm shutting this shit off. I'm at home. I'm
Yeah.
This is what I care about right now. The rest of that shit can wait till tomorrow or whenever. So
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's tough.
That's exactly what I was talking about today with my coworker was we have that third space. The three of us have that in common. We all have families. That's the second space. You have family's the first space. Work is the second space. And then there's that third space where it's the outlet. And I think music, and I'm going to assume this, but maybe you guys tell me, does when you do the music in between the first and second space, does it help give it a detachment? It helps me detach from work, detach from everything really, and then
oh yeah.
think of nothing and everything at the same time. But more importantly, just the mental reset that it gives you to do it, to work on the music. And then when you come home to family, like if it's work and then a little bit of music in the evening, then back to the family, it's like the work stress is gone. The music kind of like resets that other space is like a buffer.
Oh yeah. If I don't get it either, like I got it. You got to make time for it. Like it's one of those things. Like I'm so attached to music, like in my soul. Like if I don't go a while without like just having my time to sit down, and that's kind of like emotional release thing. It's like
Mm.
I come in here, and like you said, you think of nothing. Like, oh, there's nothing to worry about. Like that's your little safe zone. So, and that helps out a lot. For sure. Like I think that's why we just keep doing it. It's like it's part of you, and I just enjoy it. Like I love it, man. I like the whole process of being in music, writing music, the whole thing, man. It's just I'm glad it's a part of me, and um, and all the people I've met through it, and it's just been a great experience, but you need it. Like I need that space, like I had my studio over, across town for a while, and it was tough because just trying to get over there to the studio to have this time we're talking about,
Mm.
Yeah.
So we just moved in here Thanksgiving. We bought a house, and
Oh,
I moved my studio in
congratulations.
my garage, so now
Okay.
it's here at
Wow.
home. So it's awesome. So
It is
Yeah.
awesome.
yeah,
I'm a big fan because you lose the whole window of time that you could do it just
yeah,
traveling back and forth when it's at a different location.
Mhm.
It's so
yeah,
hard to create the pockets.
it
And
is.
when you're talking about that, like when you need it, I need it too. I think I have too many things that I need because I mean also it's like kung fu and it's
Yeah,
weights and then it's like meditation and I need my obviously I need my music and then there's different aspects of the music. There's the recording the music, there's the writing the music, there's the practice of drills. And in each of those categories that I mentioned before, they each have subcategories.
oh
And
yeah,
I find that I
Deeper you
want
get.
I'm in a rabbit hole, man, and I can't get out. And it's like I always feel like I'm not doing all the things. But that's just to close that whole concept out. Is like we on this podcast talk a lot of times about like trying to market and how hard it is to get your music out there.
Oh
I think
God.
sometimes it gets lost in the weeds that it's like the goal is to be like famous or something. It's like, no, the goal is just that somehow it's generates enough income that you could just do it more. It could actually become a part of your regular everyday routine
Yeah.
in a bigger way. Like you'd actually get to spend. Imagine if 4 hours of your day for your work day was working on music in whatever form that was, and
Yeah.
you actually made some level of income from it that you
Yeah.
could justify that pocket of time. That's the goal. I mean,
Yeah.
we just want to do this more.
Yeah.
So give me all the
Yeah.
money in the world, and I'll still be just as busy.
Yeah, I've come to the conclusion that dream's probably sailed. So it's like,
I hear you.
it's like, all right,
I
like
know.
I gave it
And
my
that's,
best shot. So now it's like just having fun doing it, like, and hope somebody listens to it and stuff. But man, I tell you, like, it's crazy because you kind of think like with the way technology is and the way like everything's so accessible that it'd be a lot easier to get like your stuff out of there. But I think it's so fucking hard now than it was
it's
before.
It's oversaturated, the
It
market,
is. It's like
because it's so easy now, and
no.
so many more people are doing it that there's so much.
Mhm.
I find, every time I kind of like dive in a rabbit hole of new music, I find like new bands never heard of, and I'm listening and I'm like, man, where'd this band come from? This is great. And then I look into it and it's 10 years old.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm like, where have I been under a rock for 10 years? Like, well, no, I haven't been under a rock. This has just been over here through a sea of thousands of other awesome bands on the other side of the same spectrum. And there's so much that it's a saturated market. And
It's crazy. I think we had this conversation, Bert, like how I just like miss the days of going to a record store, like
yeah,
when things weren't so freaking accessible, you know what I'm saying? Like that's when I really enjoyed music. Like you just go find music and CDs and you
Take a
talk to
chance.
the CD guy. Yeah.
take a chance on an album because the cover looks cool.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
oh man, this Mastodon album, this guy like that one was just a whale on the cover,
Right.
And that's why I bought. I was like, this looks cool. I'm buying this.
Yeah.
Oh, really? That's why you got it? But hadn't you heard Mastodon? You
I
kind
had
of
heard
liked
I had
Mastodon,
heard
right?
Blood and Thunder. That's
Okay.
the one.
Gotcha.
And then I wasn't ready for it. I was like, I put the CD in. I was like, what is this? This is weird. This isn't heavy metal. This is weird metal. What's going on?
Good. That's good.
The guitars aren't all that distorted, but they're playing it really heavy. What's happening here? And the drums are doing things my brain didn't understand. It was a different language. I wasn't ready.
Crack the Sky is the album that I got into Mastodon on. That's when I first really discovered them. But
they're in the same category as Metallica for me, where it's like the vocals the vocals have changed in Mastodon over the years, but they're one of those bands that like it really isn't so much about the vocals. It's about everything as a whole. And even more so than Metallica, because I feel like Metallica really at Metallica's heart, they're a guitar band. Like they're a guitarist's band. It's more the guitars are the centerpiece of Metallica.
They're more responsible for me learning to play guitar than any other band. Even though
sure.
I honestly don't listen to that much Metallica anymore. I mean, I think it's still great, but I just they're not in regular rotation anymore for me. But I still love them. They're still great. I don't know if it's because I played it out or
who are we all listening to right now? Like more than anything, like what's our let's go around the table here. What's our current like mixtape?
My current is definitely currently King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. Man, they're so good, dude. They're so good, man. They're so versatile. Every album's totally different.
Fantastic.
And their metal album feels old school, but it's like they're so fun. and the 4 different harmony, like all of them sing. And after seeing that live show, I just get it. Like I had never heard them, so my whole experience of hearing them the first time was live in Vegas
Oh
last
wow. Yeah,
last
yeah.
month. You know, I mean, I was telling Dick, I was out there filming with my son. We were filming for one of those Trans Am documentaries that I'm making now. That'll come out next month. And a fucking driving billboard went by us with this band on it that said King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, which I was like, who is
Have you,
that?
have,
I
Josh,
love that name.
Josh, do you
And
know
my
who King Giz is?
I
Have you
have
ever?
I have
Okay.
dude. So
This-
it drives by, and I'm like, are they like the poster looked amazing too. The photo was great. Everything about it was like, that's all. What do they sound like? And my son looks them up and he realizes that he's got a couple of their songs in his rotation, and he didn't even realize that it was the same band because the songs are so different from one another. He puts on 3 songs. I'm like, this is all good. They're not by any chance playing here, like while we're here, are they? Because we were there for 4 days. And he looks it up, and they're playing the next night,
Oh wow.
which is my son's 18th birthday. It's the
Nice.
exact day. And I'm like, dude, let's get tickets. I'm taking you for your birthday. Like he turned 18 in Vegas while working with me filming, and we went to go see King Gizzard. And these guys played for almost 2.5 hours, nonstop, no breaks. Played
They're
full
like-
albums, switched to every genre on the rainbow. I was like, who are these guys? They're an Australian band that's been around for like 14 years.
Wow.
Amazing band. Amazing band.
Check 'em out.
Way better live than the albums, but the albums are cool.
Every album is a different genre. They do like genre, like scene albums. You know.
Yeah.
So the
Yeah.
one that
Really
I
well.
heard them first, like there's this lizard on it, like a lizard man, dragon
Yeah,
man.
that's a great
or
album.
something.
I like that.
And it's like the doom metal album, and I'm listening to
Yeah.
it in the car. I'm like, what is this? This is cool because I like this like
Yeah.
stoner doom rock. Really,
I love
slow
that
shit.
album, man. Yeah.
And I had to show my son. I was like, Kyron, check this out, man. This
Yeah.
new band I just heard. I put it on. He's like, I said they're called King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, and he says, "Oh
love
yeah,
that name.
it's King Giz, Dad. Yeah, they're awesome. You never heard of King Giz?" And I was like,
Yeah.
"No."
Brett Hessler was acting like he said his son likes him too, and that he called him like King Giz. So Brett Hessler likes him too. That's funny.
That's
man.
crazy.
I've never heard of him.
I gotta check them out for sure.
Yeah.
They're super.
If they
cool.
ever come around for a live, I mean, the albums are cool, but guys, live they just go off on like they were playing like 15-minute songs and just stretching them out, jamming. Brought out every kind of instrument. I mean, they played like every kind of instrument from didgeridoos to all kinds of weird synthy keyboards to every stringed instrument to I think they even did kazoos, harmonicas. I mean, it's a show. It's a
Right.
show. Yeah.
That sounds fun, actually.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
All right, I took way too much time on my pick. That's what I'm
you're
into right now.
Josh, who are you jamming right now?
Man, I don't know. Like, it's just so much out there, you know. Like, I still find myself jamming old albums. You know, like today we saw that comment with Ian and the
Yeah.
dual rec or whatever, and the dude was playing the Dark New Day riffs. I was like,
Oh,
so
shit.
today was like a whole tangent of Dark New Day. Like, it's like all I listen to
Ah.
today. It's
Nice.
like
I just
it's
mentioned
such a
Brett
great
Hess-
album. Like that album was like just amazing. But another band I found that I thought I turned Dave onto, but he had already knew about it. But a band called Dead Eyes, they're pretty good.
Yep.
Hmm.
He sent me some of their stuff. They're badass.
Yeah, it's pretty
I haven't
cool.
heard
Like
them.
listen back to those guys and like their older stuff. Like the vocalist had a total different sound. Like he was real like emo-y and like it was just weird. And like all his new stuff, it's like, dude, he totally switched it up. Like he just changed in his entire like the way he does vocals and stuff. But it's really good. But it's kind of silly. But I kind of like finding these like new, almost poppy modern new metal bands. You know.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's another one. I can't remember their names, but they're almost
Do you-
like R&B.
Do you like? Are you talking about Sleep Token?
Sleep Token's great. Yes.
Do you like Sleep Token?
I like Sleep Token a lot.
I like
It's
Sleep
hit and miss,
Token.
though. Like I don't know.
It is hit and miss. It is, but and some days I'm up for it, and some days I'm
Yeah.
not. But I will say they're doing their own thing, and a lot of it perks my ear up, and it's really enjoyable. I like working out to it. It's
Yeah.
good workout music.
Yeah, and I like music like that you can kind of go on a trip with. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah. I'm a
that's
fan.
a good band. You put on the headphones and you just do whatever you're doing, and you just go through this little world they created. You know, like Sleep Token's very, very much like that. And another band that I like, Carnival. I still listen to them a lot.
Oh, dude,
Carnival.
Is it Carnival?
Carnival.
I've never heard it said. Dude, they're so good.
Yeah, and
I wore them out
to like kind of like Sleep Token, where if I just want to take a journey, man, and I'm just fucking want to chill and like just do my thing, or if I'm working or something, I'm always got my earbuds in. Like, that's a good band. Like, you just press play and just it's just a journey, and every song's just phenomenal, you know. Like,
and they put out a single like last year, I think, but just one song. I don't think they followed it up with a full album, and I was disappointed. I got kind of excited because I discovered them after they were putting out stuff, you know. They were actually one of two bands that there was about a year where I pretty much just listened to two bands.
Right.
And Carnival was one of them, and the other one was Fair to Midland. Have you heard them?
I've heard of that. I haven't heard of them, but I've heard of that. Yeah.
Dude, Fair to Midland,
they're good.
Is badass.
Check
They have one of my favorite albums of all time, and it's the last album they put out. I actually can't remember the full name. It's like Arrows.
I keep forgetting that you showed me who they are, because they show up every now and then on my playlist, and they always stand out. I'm like, what is this,
dude? That album.
Like, where did I find these guys? I always forget that you're the one that told me to look them up.
If you listen to that album a couple of times in a row, you might be in a rabbit hole, because it's just so good. Like, they only, and they're done. Like, they did like 3 albums, and only one of them felt like they had just come into their maturity level of what they were going to be, and then it was over, I guess. And the only reason I knew about them actually was because a couple of people, including Ian McKenzie, when we were playing in Kill Clouseau, they mentioned, I had said, you guys kind of sound a little bit like Fair to Midland. Are you familiar with Fair to Midland? And I said, no. And then I forgot about them completely. And my old drummer told me about it. He was like, dude, you should check out Fair to Midland. I forgot. I couldn't even remember the name. It was, what the fuck kind of a name is that?
What's that even mean? Wasn't fucking even.
I don't know. It's like, was I hearing it right?
Syntax error or something.
I think it accidentally popped
County
up on
Fair
Spotify.
is in Midland.
It's like, it might be in. Is it in reference to Lord of the Rings or something? I don't know. I think they are from New Zealand, actually.
I feel like
they're
it's
a New Zealand band
from like a Shakespeare play or something.
Right.
Like this.
They're so good, man. I can't
there's a
recommend it
band.
enough.
Not Tonight, Josephine was a band where
I forgot about that band.
I
forgot about that band.
Their name was a phrase from a Shakespeare play. It's like the end of the book or whatever. Not Tonight, Josephine. Nice. Sorry, I confused there.
Not Tonight, Josephine. Wow, that brings back.
Forgot about them.
Yeah, wow. Their stuff's on Spotify. They got their album on streaming. I went through not that long ago, because I think about those guys a lot. They had a great lineup. They were nice, dude. All of them were super nice. One of them ended up leaving the group to play guitar in another band, Mr. Bella, that had a female vocalist up front. And I just remember. Yeah, I think they're still at it. I don't think Not Tonight's at it anymore. They haven't been a band for a while. Another band I was thinking of the other day that unfortunately I could not find them on Spotify that I really enjoyed was the band from South Georgia, I think, Echo Valve.
Right.
I really like Echo Valve, and I'd love to find some of their stuff. I have a demo somewhere in a CD case that I can't find, but I tried to find them on streaming the other day.
I remember that the first song they put out as a single, a lot of people questioned initially was it Maynard from Tool?
Yeah. Yeah.
It sounded a little Tool-y in the way he was singing it.
He had their vocalist, I can't remember his name, but he's a super nice guy, real talented. Him and I traded hats at a show one time for some reason. I had a beanie, big beanie that had like a weird bill on it, but it had Tinkerbell. It was Tinkerbell beanie, and I was wearing it just out at the show. And he had like a Echo Valve hat, one of his bands had, and we traded hats when we performed. he wore my hat and I wore his hat in my band set, and he wore the Tinkerbell. He wanted to wear that fucking Tinkerbell hat.
You guys must have sweat so much in the.
It was gross. It was
so
gross.
There's another band I was thinking about you today, Dick. I cannot remember the name, but I know you're a huge fan of them. I think they were from Texas.
Within Chaos.
Within Chaos. That's what I did not remember that today. I'm like, I know, like, I got to bring that up to Richard this evening because I know he was a huge fan of them guys, and they're badass. I actually listened to them today, honestly. But
yeah, that first album they did, Virulent, was just incredible. And their original lineup with Travis on drums, Joe Taylor on bass, Jason Duguid was the guitarist, and I can't remember the original vocalist's name, but he left, and a guy named JC Scars replaced him. And that lineup was like the next Pantera for a second there, especially with Jason Duguid was, I think he had some kind of mental problem because he ended up like just leaving, disappearing with all their gear. I think even it was a bad thing. I don't know. I don't want to misspeak the story. I just know that he like disappeared and they replaced him with a couple of great guitar players, a guy named Wolfgang and another guy. I can't remember his name, but whatever that first album was like magic. They just captured, and their live set. We found out they were on the bill with us. I was still in Falling at Will, and Dane or somebody in the band was like, hey, there's a band from Texas jumping on the bill with us, this band Within Chaos. And I checked them out. This is way back, like before streaming. So like I had a hard time finding the music. I just knew they were heavy. I was like, heck yeah. And we met them before the show, and we had to go on after these guys. They played like before us. And so to put it in perspective, we're just like a local band. These guys, less than 3 or 4 months after this show, they played Ozfest. But when they came, they opened up, and my jaw hit the floor. And like to this day, that set was one of the best metal. Like, just I was not ready for how good it was going to be. And the biggest part that was such an influential band, that particular album, was guitar time signatures in heavy setting. And it's like gent is a thing, right? Like, these bands like the Meshuggah guys came out, and then it was like Meshuggah, Tesseract, Periphery, kind of this cascading overarching gent thing, which is its own thing, and it's great. It wasn't ever really something that in my personal like playing that I really integrated too much. But this other thing that Within Chaos did, particularly Jason Duguid's guitar writing, was something that really captured my interest in a way that it's a lot of off time single note time signatures that play around within a lot of it is a 3/4 instead of like 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 is 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 polyrhythms like that he just his right hand did things that I didn't understand at first, but it was instantly like speaking to my soul, just like piercing me in a way that I had to integrate that. And like, yeah, I'm glad you brought them up, because now I'm going on a
I'll have to check them out. I haven't heard
of them. Rabbit hole.
They're super heavy. There's no like clean vocals. They're really really, it's one of those groups that you're listening to the guitar and the drums play off one another in a way that's just so unique. And he's the first guy that I saw play with a Morley ABY pedal, and he had two PV 5150s side by side, same amp, same cab, same everything. They were just dialed in a little bit different. So it was one guy filling up this full spectrum. And that was another thing. Then, of course, I started doing the ABY, and I did the same thing for a couple of years with.
I remember that.
Yeah, I got the PV and the angle on either side, and it was so fun. Yeah.
And every sound guy was like, "This son of a bitch."
Yeah. He's like, you're gonna mic both of them.
Yeah,
You need both. Why
I
you
gotta
gotta do
do
both of
for
them?
both of you. And there's 2 guitarists in the band.
No, it's just you. But you want both
Yeah.
of them? What's fucking wrong with you?
Uh,
I'm done fanboying for Within Chaos.
Now it's changed. Now guys just bring no cabs and amps and pedals and
yeah, I went
No
backwards.
thanks. I'm good to go. I'm good to go. I got my pedal.
I got my
We're ready.
pedal.
Where do I plug in, guys?
Yeah, it's such an evolving, weird thing that's happening with all the aspects of technology. I mean, even Metallica. We've talked about this a couple times. I went ahead and I basically disintegrated my pedal board setup that I had during the time that we recorded our Cue the Muses album, and I got an Axe Effects multi-effects pedal. They have an all-in-one unit, which is when I did Kill Clouseau back in the day. I was on GTX, like
I'm not
or a
getting
Boss
ready.
GT8 or something.
Yeah, they're on the
Anyway.
wall.
GTA.
They're on the wall back here.
You had a GT8?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, man! I had 2 of them in case one went out. I had another one as a backup. I invested heavily in that, and it was just so nice to be able to, in one click, switch all the effects. That was the big thing that I hated about switching over to analog, but I like the sound better. Anyway, this Axe Effects is amazing, and even Metallica is using that in their live. They're using the rack mount version, but nonetheless, it's the same sounds. It's just a different interface, and it's like it's gotten really good. But I think, like me and Dick were talking about in the last podcast, when it comes to recording, they're still going with the analog. You're still going with the original pedals and the double amps and like all that's real. But for live, it is so damn tempting to have that consistent sound. And this is coming from a guy that hasn't played live in like a decade, so I don't really have much of an excuse. I mean, I want to. I do want to start playing
to show
live
up
again.
with just my little box and not have
I know.
to
Like that's. Now I have to go. I have to get back into playing on stages again. This will be the year. Before the year's out, I'm going to play a live show. I know. I'm definitely going to. It's on the bucket list to get back on it. But
our bass player's spoiled. He doesn't have to bring a rig or nothing. It's all just we have like this big rig that he's constructed of all our shit's in there, and we still bring live guitar amps, but the bass is all DI'd inside this box and stuff. And when I played with over it, our first show, I had to lug my bass rig up and shit. We were talking to Andrew. I'm like, you're a piece of shit because you don't have to carry any of this stuff anymore. Just show up and it's all there. I'm carrying this big ass rig and old school. I like it.
Talk about that. Talk about that for a second, Josh. I don't mean to cut you off, Ash.
No, go for it. Yeah,
you're also playing bass again in Over It with Dave and Jeremiah.
Yeah, Jeremiah Priest. When Dave moved back, man, like I recorded a couple songs for him in my studio, and he went to Texas.
David Rowe.
Big Dave Rowe, vocalist on Cue the Muses "Afraid" with Cody.
Oh yeah, he did a killer job too, man. But he's just a great vocalist, man. Like I've always liked Dave's music, and so like I told him, I was like, when you get back, I was like, I don't know, because I didn't know what was going on, with y'all's band and stuff. It's Fighting Giants was going to do something, came back or whatnot. But I was like, if you want to start a project, let me know. I was like, we'll have to find a drummer, and then he gets back in town. We kind of start talking about it and stuff. I was like, well, let me send Jeremiah a message to see if because Jeremiah would fit perfectly in what we were trying to do, It's just stripped down rock, like just old school Chevelle, fucking a guitar, a bass player, and a drummer type of shit,
Power trio, man. Just straight up rock.
And it's been cool. So we started jamming and stuff, and it was fun for me because, like, with Tragic, our bass player and drummers in Jacksonville, so we only rehearse twice a month, So I had plenty of time on my hands. It's like, well, I was like, if we're gonna do this, like, I have enough time to do it, and I love to play bass. Like that's where I started off on was bass when I was like 13, and I still fucking love it, man. And like every time I fire that bass up, it's like there's something about it. Like I love playing it. It makes me feel good, and I was surprised my bass amp still works because it sat there for like fucking 6-7 years, you know. So I'm like, well, let me go over there and make sure this shit works first, you know.
Yeah.
But it all fired up and sounds phenomenal. But yeah, we just started practicing. We did our first show. I think we only did like 4 or 5 songs. I can't say we were really 100% prepared to do a show. Like,
I wasn't there,
like,
I can't comment.
Dave was good because he wrote the song. So I mean, but
Yeah.
Well, but and Dave was good because he wrote the songs, and now I'm very good friends with Dave, and just like I am with you, Dave actually is the reason I know you because he moved back home. We're in a band in North Carolina back in the early aughts, and he moved back to Tallahassee, and then I ended up coming back like 2 years later, and he had called me when I was living in Central Florida. And he said, man, there's this new guy in town, dude. His name's Josh. He's like the best bass player I've ever seen. You got to meet this guy when you come up. I was like, oh, hell yeah. Can't wait, man. Then I came up. I was like, damn, this guy is good. He's so good. But I will say what my joke for Dave is, because when I was there for y'all's set, and first of all, it was absolutely awesome. I loved every second of it.
Yeah.
Dave did the oh shit, I'm gonna go ahead and stop this song when we started playing it, and he didn't have to do it. I don't know what he heard something, but I was like, Dave, I heard it, but it didn't matter because it's just the 3 of you guys, and when it's one guitar and the bass player, if you guys are a little playing something different, you know what? Dimebag and Rex did that all the time. Who gives a shit? But my joke to Dave is next time do I come to an over at show, do I need to go ahead and show up like 15 minutes late to catch the first song? and I'm saying
golden rule, man.
Yeah, I know. I'm saying this because I know it wasn't you. I know it was you. I know it was him, and I've already given him the ration of shit about it.
Right. But it was fun. Like we weren't taking that very seriously. Like and that's kind of been the project for me. Like I know, not saying that like it's nothing serious for me because I know it's like Dave's thing, and you know I'm just there supporting it, you know. But it's just we're just having fun, you know, and that was a cool thing about it. Like with Tragic, there's a little more stress because everybody's kind of more invested into that, you know.
Yep. That happens. That happens, you know? Yeah.
So it's like cool to do this project where it's kind of more relaxed, and you know, even Jeremiah, like me and him grew up playing together since we were like 13. Honestly, like I asked my mom for a guitar and she got me a bass, and his mom got him a drum set. So I'm like, well, I got a bass, so I'm guessing I'm gonna play this shit. And we played, dude, for 4 or 5 years straight, just me on bass, him on drums, for like 3-4 years straight, man. Like just creating chops, you know.
That's great. That's
bass and drums, but
that's the best.
I don't think I'm a good bass player. I know how to make a good bass tone. I think that's where it's at, honestly. You know, like just making a good bass sound. I've always been kind of good at that. Like even when like I think Dave and when Richard finally came down, he's like, "Oh, your bass tone's awesome." And I had like this 15-inch crate amp with a built-in like power amp in it and an equalizer. I mean, it wasn't the fucking greatest, but it sounded great. Like it sounded good.
Yeah.
Nice. That's always been my thing. It's like my bass, it's got to be great, man. Like I like a really good fucking bass sound, you know.
Yeah, it definitely works. Whatever you're doing works because it sounds. Every time I hear you when you're playing bass, it sounds awesome.
Yeah, and it's
don't tell Andrew what you're doing because you sound better than him. Just kidding, man.
And it's fun with this project because it's really bass driven. You know, it's like Dave's playing guitar, and it's kind of cool because like when we started working on some of the songs, he was almost overplaying the guitar. It's like, man, I was like, I think he's just dropped the guitar out for that part and let it just be bass and drums, you know, like that's the beauty of having a 3-piece, you know.
It's hard to recognize that when you wrote a song on guitar. I feel like there's a lot of times like I'll write something and you feel like you have to fill in every gap because you're the only thing writing the piece initially, and so it's hard to know, oh wow, this sounds so much more powerful if I cut right here and then come back in. That's how we create dynamics. I mean, that's
and it gives Dave a break too. He's playing guitar and singing, which I don't know how he does it.
Yeah.
I can't do it. My brain, that's one thing my brain does not do.
Yeah, I
It
cannot
can't
do it either. It's driving me
singing,
crazy.
playing, like, dude,
wish I
I've
could.
tried, and I'm full retard when it comes to that, dude. Like,
I can't do it either.
my brain doesn't, as much as I want it
Yeah.
to. It's like, man, I wish
Yeah.
I could. But Dave, man, it's like, it's nothing for
Yeah.
him. And I was
Yeah.
proud of him because that was a big moment going up there and doing that, really putting the weight of the band on his shoulders. Because I'm just playing bass and Jeremiah's playing drums. Man, he's carrying the whole fucking band, you know.
Yeah, it was comical when he told me he was nervous. I was like, "What do you mean you're nervous?" Like he's like, "I gotta play guitar and sing." I was like, "You do that all the time. Like you've been doing that your entire life since he was like 12 years old with a camcorder, playing acoustic guitar in front for like doing like the Freshman and Water's Edge by Seven
Oh
Mary
God, I
Three.
remember those songs.
Yeah, that era
That's
he
awesome.
came out of. Yeah, super cool show.
Gentlemen, we've reached an hour and 5, and
right.
I hate to say it, I've got a hard out, guys.
No,
You got a hard what?
I'm sorry, I got a hard out. I got to go rub one out real quick. No, you guys. Yeah, Josh, it was awesome having you on here, man. Good
man,
times
thanks for having me.
talking.
Have a fucking time.
Yeah, man.
We'll do it again, huh?
Yeah,
Heck yeah,
absolutely,
man.
absolutely, dude.
We'll get you back on. But
we'll put a link in the show notes, our description and everything on YouTube and everything. This will come out over the weekend, but we'll put a link to your music video that came out. And
that'd be great.
if there's other stuff you want us to link to, go ahead and send that to us in the messenger thread, and we'll put that out. But before we do close it out, if you want to go ahead and actually say it for anyone, where can people find stuff of yours with Tragic and?
On the usual stuff, Spotify, all that stuff. Tragic 850. But honestly, just go to our website, tragicband.com. Like everything's on there. Like I'm bad about, hey, go here, go there. And
yeah,
like,
I get it. Me too.
And Andrew's like, hey, dude, we all have it all that on our website. I was like, okay, well, I got to train myself to say, hey, tragicband.com. It's all there. Like,
there you go, man.
Go
Hey,
there.
it took all my ability to remember to tell you to say something about it, because I know we go episode after episode and forget to even talk about the fact that we have a Q the Muses and what the hell that is, and that's why we started this podcast, just to let more people know.
Hopefully
about
in March we drop the EP. We'll have to come back on and we'll talk about it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Yeah.
That's
That
I'm
would be
excited.
cool.
I'm excited about that, dude. I've worked my
let's
ass off
plan.
on it.
Let's plan
Awesome.
for that after your show in March. Once the EP's out, we'll get you back on. We're not booked out that far out. I think we're only booked with guests till like mid-February right now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, we can do.
Yeah, I'll keep in touch with you, let you know how the process is going and how close we are to it and all that good stuff for sure.
Hell
Cool.
yeah.
Awesome,
yeah.
man. Very cool. Well, take care, and we'll catch you on the next one. And thanks for checking in, guys.
Thanks for listening,
Newscast.
everybody. Holla.
There y'all.